y'all for making the choice to click in to chat with Trina today. And I'm chatting with a Zydeco artist who the Washington Post called a master at pumping out fast, funky rhythms on an instrument not usually associated with earthy syncopation. A versatile student of music, Thierry can't be lumped into the Zydeco's old school R&B influence camp or his nouveau rap inspired one. He and his band lay down both soulful and traditional slow dances and bottom end, and I'm thinking that means bottom end booming kinetic groovers. He is also a Grammy nominated musician. Mr. Andre Thierry, thank you so much for agreeing to chat with Trina today. I really appreciate it. It's such an honor.
Thank you for having me.
And you're probably a little tired from, did you fly? You flew in, definitely.
Well, I drove.
Oh my gosh. I was 10 when I took that drive. And I'll never forget it. So
not too bad. It's not too bad.
Gosh. So I'm gonna get right to it. What is your actual name? Is it actually Andre Thierry?
Andre Thierry.
Okay. Yes. Are you named after somebody or anything? Just Andre Thierry?
No,
okay.
That's my
and I know
name.
Your own name?
My own name.
Yeah, like mine is Trina. I was like, well, why couldn't I be Katrina? And my mom was like, I made you original. I want your name to be original, just Trina.
There you go.
I know you grew up in Richmond, California. What high school did you attend?
I went to community college for high school.
Oh, okay.
So
okay.
I took college classes through high school.
Oh, awesome. Okay, that's getting really popular nowadays here.
Yeah.
I actually worked for a middle school program like that, something like that.
That's what I
did. What was it like growing up in California? Like, were you with the stars? What was you doing?
Wasn't no stars, just regular people, you know.
Okay,
I grew up in the Bay Area. I grew up in the Bay Area. Richmond is like 20 minutes from Oakland and 25 minutes from San Francisco.
Okay.
And to me, I grew up with both sides of my family from Louisiana, so kind of felt like I was already in Louisiana, even though I didn't know what it was. So when I started coming down here, and people thought I was from down here because the way I talk and just.
I was gonna say, you seem like you have an accent.
Yeah, my grandmother and they all speak French, so it's like,
How you've kind of already answered one of my biggest questions, but I'll get to it now that you've said that. So, your family is from Louisiana and moved to California, I take it.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes so much more sense. Do you have brothers or sisters?
Yep, I have 5 sisters, one brother.
Okay, big family. Is it okay if do you mind me asking, do you have your own family? You have kids, married?
I have 2 boys.
Okay. Do they play?
They're into it, yeah. My oldest, he's playing bass now.
Oh.
And my youngest, I teach him his scales on piano. He plays it, but I think he's gonna really take it seriously because he can hear it. He can sing and pitch with anything.
Wow. It's interesting when I hear parents, when they can hear, who are singers and stuff, just like Beyonce, she could hear that her daughter's gonna have it.
Yeah, in the blood.
Yeah. How did you get into Zydeco all the way down to California when it's typically a Louisiana thing? You've kind of answered that, but let's hear it.
I mean, how did Houston get Zydeco?
Guess that's true. Well, we closer to Louisiana.
I mean, people travel, they take their culture with them.
I guess that's true.
So, long story short, my grandfather, he moved. His brother had started a business in the early 60s, late 50s, early 60s in Richmond. He had a liquor store, and they also did construction work. And my grandfather, son from my grandmother, like a few years later, like 1963, he wanted to get established first and then bring everybody out.
Oh.
So once they got out there, the Catholic thing was big with the Creole culture. So they found a church in Richmond called St. Mark's, and they got in with the community and a bunch of other Creoles that migrated. And they started, because they were already throwing like events like in Louisiana, because my grandmother always cooked and my grandfather just, knew and he mingled with a lot of musicians. So they
Okay.
had the thing I didn't know. I just found out about 5 years ago that they was running a little club and restaurant thing in Basil, Louisiana, and they would book bands and stuff. So
Oh.
once they went out there, they networked and started bringing people out to California. So like Clifton Chenier, John Della Falls, Rocket, Sydney, Furnace, Arson, no, bunch of other people.
Oh, so this is a long time thing. Like,
Yeah. So that was in 1963. So from there to now, I laugh when people say, "How did you get out?" It's been out there.
yeah, that's why that's wow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it's funny to me, skipping a little bit, but when I interviewed, I don't like to say interview because that scares people. When I chatted with Joe Norman and even
Mm-hmm.
Ruben Marino, I was so surprised to know how many other places, that you guys traveled for Zydeco. I think I saw on here that you were the first accordion player somewhere. I don't know. I don't remember what my notes are.
Oh,
but anyway,
I was the first American accordion player to go. I've been on this accordion tour in Germany.
Germany, that's what it is. Yeah. Yeah, I read that. That's interesting. But I'm just learning Zydeco background and that kind of thing in the last years. I would go, but I didn't know anything about the culture, to be honest with you. I just knew I've heard J. Paul, and that's all I knew about Zydeco. And as I'm doing this show, that's what I love about it, is I'm learning so much more about the culture. So it's really cool about that.
Yeah.
And Joe Norman is like a history book of Zydeco, to be honest with you. I could just sit with him and listen all day. So he really is very supportive of everybody, and I love that. When did you begin playing?
I started when I was like 8, 9 years old, and I didn't want to. I hated the music. And,
why did you start? Somebody push you into it?
Well, my dad, he's like he heard me singing like when he picked me up, he played the radio player, and he said I would sing right in key with everything. So he figured I had an ear. And he played a bunch of different instruments, and I wasn't into music. And that's why I say my youngest reminds me of me.
Because he wasn't really into it.
Yeah, he does it and then goes about his business. But he started me playing accordion. I didn't like it, so I didn't fool with it. And then a few years later, my grandmother were throwing dances, so we had to go to the dance. So I would go to the dances, and me and my cousins would cut up till we fell asleep. We wouldn't pay attention to music.
That is so funny to me.
And then one day, after my dad tried to teach me the accordion, like maybe a year or two, I went up to the front of the stage and actually paid attention. And I seen the dude playing, and I wanted to be able to do that. So then I just, my grandmother had an accordion for my cousin, and she didn't want me to touch it. And I would sneak in her closet and I'd play it. And she would get mad because she didn't want me to play it. But my grandfather would catch me in there, and he would just smile, and he would close the door back and just let me play. So then I just start teaching myself just by ear. I just start figuring everything out. And then I had my band. My grandfather died in 92. So later that year, I started my band, and I was like 12, going on 13. So I've been having a band since 12 years old.
I see the instrument with the thing is called the piano note, right?
What's the thing? The piano keys. Yeah.
Is that what it's really called, though?
Piano accordion.
Okay. So how did you taught yourself? Was that the kind of accordion your grandmother had, or is that something you did later?
No, see, this is the funny thing. My dad was teaching me the piano accordion, and then my grandmother had a little button accordion. So the thing about me is I play like 4 or 5 different styles of accordion. I just figured them out. So yeah,
is one like, if you know one, you know the other? Is it not like that? It's not that simple? Okay.
I mean, it's simple to me, but it's like you got to switch your brain around. But it's just music.
So when you're playing in a show, though, you do switch them up during your show?
Yeah, depending on the song or depending on how I feel.
I call it a community because I dance here, so we call it a dance community. So in the Zydeco community in California, is it the same as here? Is it as big there? Like, do y'all have a big crowds? Like, is it
Um,
like that?
it it was. I mean, now it's totally different because
Mhm.
like my grandmother and them were in their heyday, like the 70s, 60s, 70s, 80s. You got to think a lot of people are now older or died off, especially a lot
Yeah.
of the Creoles. And then too with the Creoles, like and this is why like people used to tell me what I was doing was important. I didn't realize it, but like a
Mhm.
lot, like all of LA, that's all people from Louisiana. But
Really?
yeah, they
Wow.
used to call LA, Little Louisiana, LA.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
like you find out like Nipsey Hussle was Creole. You know, all these
Oh,
guys, Ice
yeah.
Cube, guys from
Uh-huh.
Alexandria, all these people. But when they got to the city, they didn't want to be associated with that culture because
Mhm.
French was looked funny, like looked down upon, especially when they're not used to seeing people of color speak French, but they don't realize you got Haiti, all of Africa, damn near speaks French.
Right, right,
Like
right.
it's you only know what you know. So,
What you know.
um, but
Yeah, people don't think about that when they're saying, "Well, how did Zydeco get all the way down into California?" That definitely connects.
yeah, but then you have a disconnect because the younger ones in the cities they want to do what everybody else is doing. And they don't want to do what the advantage is. So I was like an oddball,
Right,
for
right.
a sense. But then you know
Did you ever
now
fuse your? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
when
Did you ever fuse your music with any of theirs? Like, or you just stay? Okay.
I fuse that's my whole thing. I fuse my music with everything.
This. Okay. I read something. Michael, whatever his name, Michael somebody. Tisserand, is that how I say his name? He's the
Just
author of he's the author of The Kingdom of Zydeco, which is considered the definitive book on the history of Zydeco music. He wrote that now the California scenes rival anything back home in Louisiana, and that's due to players like Andre Thierry, a standard bearer for the new generation. He's among the best of both the West Coast and the Gulf Coast, and he combines youthful vigor with mature appreciation for his inherited tradition. Is that important to you that you kept a tradition in your music?
Yeah,
Mhm.
because I explained to these guys, a lot of guys, younger guys call me, and they, like I said before, like the thing I said about the younger people, like in the city, not wanting to do what the older people are doing,
Right.
and that's where we have a disconnect with the ages. So it's like I look at the old stuff, or like I only look at music as it's good and bad.
Right, right, right,
There's
right.
there's there's bad traditional stuff and there's good traditional stuff. All the newer stuff, there's bad newer stuff and there's good newer
Good
stuff.
newer stuff,
You
exactly.
know, that's how I look at it. So
Yeah.
I tell them, I say, shoot, that's why I'm able to play everything because I learned like the roots of everything. And
Yeah.
two, you're not gonna throw away if you got $1 million in the bank and you make another $1 million, you're not gonna throw away the old $1 million for the new. You're
Mhm.
gonna put it all together
Put it
so
all
you have
together.
more money. So that's how
Yeah.
I look at
Yeah. I like that.
it.
And I always tell people that, why, just kind of what just the example you just gave, like you have to know where you came from to go any further anyway. Like
This is
people
this
forget that.
this is actually bigger than music.
Yeah. Yeah. Hmm.
Bigger than so when you talk about culture, you talk about people, and they're not used to seeing people of color playing an accordion.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You don't realize that a lot of people in Africa, you got a lot of people playing accordion, but just because TV don't show it,
Uh-huh.
you
True.
don't associate it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Just like there's a couple of violinists now that play like really good music, but when you call a club and say, "Hey, I have this violin play," click, or call you back,
exactly.
because you don't see you're seeing it a little bit more glorified now, but
Mhm.
it was definitely a challenge
And
at
also
first.
too, you see them now, but you think they are the first when they had
Hmm.
other ones before. So
Are there lots of bands there? I know you said it's going down a little bit because people have died off, but are you the
uh,
major band there?
I mean, if you want to say that, I mean, there's a lot of bands that are no more. You got these gimmicky bands that come
Hmm.
along and they see something that works and they jump on
Hmm.
it. Just
Yeah.
like that's everywhere you go. You guys, pretty sure you got it down here. Louisiana has it, but it's like
Yeah.
um, Yeah, I mean, pretty much I'm the one that's carrying it on as much
Okay.
as I can. I don't like to say I'm the end all be all. I'm just doing
Okay.
my part.
Yeah, yeah. I tell people all the time that I think accordions are so pretty. They come in all kind of shiny colors and stuff. I can't see a kid not seeing that thing and just wanting to play around with it because I want to play with one.
Kids, like when my shows, when I have children, they are the
Uh,
first ones that like a washboard and accordion, it just pulls them in.
yes,
And the thing
yeah,
about that's been my mission, like it changed. I've added stuff on, but my main mission was to make the accordion cool. You know,
yes.
so it's like when like nobody knew what I did because I would go to school,
Hmm.
I play a gig, and I come back to school the next day like I
Like you didn't
didn't
do
do
nothing.
anything. So a lot of the people I went to school with didn't know what I did, and then when they heard about it, I had a few teachers that came to check me out, and they would tell the students, and they would laugh, "You play accordion, you play accordion." But then later on, they started seeing me in newspapers and stuff, and they
Uh-huh.
started, turning their head and stuff. So like,
Yeah.
it was a
That's
process.
that's funny. Marion Meadows is a jazz artist that I talked to. I had him on a couple of weeks ago, and he was like, he was the instrument. I think it was wasn't he wanted to play a saxophone, clarinet. He wanted to play the
Mhm.
sax, but he had no more sax, and so he was carrying a clarinet. And he was like, it just wasn't cool. And I tried to make my little case look cool, but it just wasn't cool. So, but until he started playing the sax. How many accordions do you have, or can you count? Too many to count.
Um, uh, I only travel with like about I got 5 with me right now.
Okay, only
But I
5 with you.
mean, yeah, but I mean, I got to one point where I had like when I was 17, 18, I had about 18 accordions, and I walked in the room. I said, "What the hell am I gonna do with all this at one time?" I just started selling them, but I've had probably over 40, 50 accordions in my life. People have
Okay,
given me some. I bought some, so it's like,
so I know that means you don't name them, like BB King names his guitar. Okay.
now
um,
my grandma used to try to make me name. I said, "Hey,
right. Are you
I'll do it."
always like real, just kind of laid back, and
Pretty
is that
much.
just that's so? What about when you get on stage though? Do you have an alter ego? I've come to see you because you played at the Red Rooster. I don't know if you remember me. That's who I used to work for, the Red
Yeah.
Rooster.
Mhm,
And I don't remember. I don't remember. It's been so long ago. So,
mhm. Yeah,
do you have an alter ego? You still
not
laid
really.
back when you're playing,
I mean, I get into my own little zone, close my
okay,
eyes.
but not
People,
necessarily a Sasha Fierce man person.
oh no, no, no.
Do you play any other instruments besides the accordion?
Bass guitar,
Okay.
piano, a little bit of drums. Pretty much, I can figure out anything. But
Anything?
that's
Okay.
my main.
Because
Yeah.
you have the ear. So I saw your name was called Zydeco Magic in the past, but now I see you just go by Andre Thierry. Is that true? From what I
I
saw.
do. My new thing is Andre Thierry, but I do accordion soul music.
Okay. Okay.
So the thing was, I feel like when you was asking about other bands
Mm-hmm.
and even bands in like in the culture, it's certain terms that can once they get abused,
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of hard to break the stigma.
Yeah.
So, and then too, I wanted a more universal appeal and not to like run people away. Like
Mm-hmm.
if you don't know what Zydeco is, if you look at the word, it looks like a Japanese word. You don't know what
You
it is.
just right.
So, but one thing that I push that a lot of people used to tell me compared to, which I don't like to compare myself to people, but they would always say that my music, they could feel it. So
Mm-hmm.
the thing is with feel is they mostly identify that with soul. And I figure soul is something that's universal. And then since I'm doing it with the accordion, it
Mm-hmm.
just made sense to say accordion soul music. That way
Okay.
nobody could really say that they did it first. I'd be the one.
Right.
So, but I
And
mean, even Zydeco didn't start with Zydeco. It started out Creole, La La, then Zydeco, and then you got Nouveau. So I just take it a next step.
what
It's
is
still
nouveau? That's another
Nouveau
word.
Zydeco, like
Mm.
Nouveau Zydeco, with J.
Okay.
Paul would be
Oh,
considered,
okay. Okay.
mixing more hip hop and R&B.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But I play all of it. So
Request. How do you feel about a request when people ask you to play a request at a show?
if I can do it, I'll do it. But
Mm-hmm.
if I feel like it's with me, the majority rules. So if I feel like a certain style, it's been a blessing and a curse because I got people that know me for a certain, like they'll hear me one night,
Oh,
like, man, you was jamming that night. Then they come hear me for a different crowd of it. Man, you wasn't playing like you was playing before. Well, I got to play to the audience.
yeah,
It's
exactly.
not about pleasing one person. You got to please everybody. And two,
Mm-hmm.
I look at I tell people that my performances are more like history lessons. I'll play stuff that started sometime back in the 20s all the
Mm-hmm.
way up to now. I don't like to be a one trick pony. I get bored,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
people get bored too. So.
Do you ever, like when you're introducing some of those older songs, do you ever mention the history or say anything about that song?
Yeah, sometimes, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting more and more into doing that
Mm-hmm.
because of just for the younger guys, because the younger
Right.
guys now are they're just watching and playing and not realizing that there's a history behind
There's
that.
a history
And
behind, right.
the more knowledge you have, the more power you have. Instead of
Mm-hmm.
just playing and these guys get interviewed, who made the song? Well, I don't know. See that it doesn't. I don't want
Yeah,
to say look good, but it's not good if you don't know what you're
yeah,
doing.
definitely. Which again is like I mentioned earlier, is what I like about this because I love going out to Zydeco. I do. But it's been just tremendous. It's been great to hear. Then I like history. I'm a history buff. So just
Mm-hmm.
hearing and learning all this stuff it's been really, really neat. Because the Clifton Chenier, that name comes up all the time. I find out, okay, he's the father. So I get that now. Like
Well,
that's
he was a big part of it. Actually, Amadeo Arduino once started everything.
I'm sorry, I had it backwards. There you go.
Yeah, he started everything. But I mean, Clifton played a big part. He made it popular. But
Mm-hmm.
it's like even with that, like when you're talking about the small accordion and the piano accordion, Clifton
Mm-hmm.
played the piano accordion. Amadeo played the small accordion. But Clifton was able to take some Amadeo songs and play them on the piano
The
accordion
piano accordion.
and mix it,
Oh.
with blues. But that's another thing people don't realize. In Louisiana, you had Lafayette, Lake Charles, and Opelousas, and you had 3 different styles of Zydeco. And some of them didn't even call themselves Zydeco. They called it French music. And they would get mad if you called their music Zydeco.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
They had different, like, even with the
Mm-hmm.
dancing was different. Like
Mm-hmm.
Lafayette, they swung out
Mm-hmm.
and danced more the blues and swing. Opelousas, and they had a different style. Like where my grandmother's from, Swallow, Louisiana,
Mm-hmm.
Basile, Louisiana, they never swung out. They danced close position all night long. Lake Charles, they would do more spinning and diving when they danced. So everybody had their own style. And
Now
but
Houston
I
is
don't,
just a gumbo of stuff.
yeah. And so it's like, but now you get people saying Zydeco is only one thing. And that's what I don't like. So that's why I started Accordion So, because it's everything.
Did anyone else in your family play music besides your kids? Do anybody else before you?
My dad, he then started me, and then
Okay.
I have a few great uncles, and then I found out my dad's dad, which he never met, he played music, and then his dad played music too.
Oh. Well, of course, as I was reading, I did find out and I only thought there was one Zydeco Grammy nominee. That's what I thought till I was reading today. I was like, oh, there's more than one. So how did that feel to be nominated? Did it do anything?
It was cool.
It was just a thing. It was an honor
Uh,
to a certain extent.
to a certain extent, I mean, more people outside of me get more of a kick out of it than I do. But I mean, it's like
Yeah.
I'm like on to the next thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I appreciate it, but it's like
Yeah.
it's to me, all this is bigger than just a trophy. So
Gotcha. I hear a lot of people say that because I've asked a few people because there's so much controversy too with how you get the Grammys and different awards and stuff. But that may not be what everybody's doing it for, of course.
exactly.
I already mentioned that, but I'm gonna say it again in case no one heard that when I spoke with Joe Norman and Ruben Marino, that's when I found out that Zydeco goes all these places, and that's when I think I saw that you're the first American artist to perform in Germany. Because I ain't gonna try to say this word.
Well,
Germany.
I'm not the first to perform in Germany. I was the first to be on this
Be on
accordion
that
tour.
festival.
Yeah, because I
Yeah.
mean, Clifton
Okay,
and
let me
them
make sure I say that right.
rocket
Mhm.
TV. Yeah.
Tell me about this. Did you write this documentary, the short documentary?
No,
Is that
I
you?
with a group out of New Orleans called
Uh-huh.
Roots of Fire,
Okay.
and they actually did a whole documentary on several artists, but something about my story about me being in California and doing all what we just talked about
Mm-hmm.
that kind of took precedent over everybody else's story, and it just kind of
Wow.
took on a life of its own. So it's been accepted in like I think 4 different film festivals in the last year.
Oh,
So
and so do you attend the festival?
I came last year for the one in New Orleans,
Mm-hmm.
and then they came out. They showed it in San Francisco at the
Okay.
film festival, but I was busy. I was booked,
Right.
and now I think it's in New York right now. So,
Okay. Oh, wow. So is this documentary one that we can see that we can?
yeah, it's they have I have a link on my website
Okay. Okay.
www.untitled.com.
I have a look. Yeah.
Also,
I'll go on
also
there again.
yeah, I'm also working on an actual full fledged documentary because this year makes 30 years I've been playing. So,
Oh, that's gonna be cool.
and
30
we're trying to get
years. That is a
all old.
long time.
Yeah, yeah,
Do you ever think of retiring
sometime. But
sometime?
nah, I mean, I think I know I want to go more into teaching. So
Okay.
that's my thing, teaching
Okay.
children.
Which
Mhm.
do you like better, producing or performing? Are the same?
It depends on how I feel. I'm a moody
Oh,
person.
okay. Okay.
I'm
Okay. You like
nah,
them both. It
but
just depends.
no, I like producing because
Okay.
you know, when you do a young artist, you can teach them stuff
Yeah.
that they didn't know or they thought they knew.
Mm,
And then when you show them like how it really goes down in the art of just doing, because everybody can look at something and say, "Oh, I can do that," until they have to do it. You know,
exactly. Yeah.
it's like people like public speak. People don't know. Some people have anxiety
They
speaking
do.
in public. It's not easy like you think it is.
Hmm.
So
It's
I like
not.
that, but I like creating. You know, I've had a lot of music stolen from people. I'm not gonna say, but because I can create on stage like that. I've always had
Mm,
that gift. So I like creating and helping other artists like make their
okay.
vision.
So, what do you tell young musicians who come to you and say, "Hey, I think I want to be in the industry of Zydeco specifically"?
Well, I tell them that they need to
Know their
slow down.
culture. Go ahead.
Yeah, you gotta know the history
Hmm.
and I'll ask why are they doing this? If they're doing it for fame, 9 times out of 10, I would leave them alone because
Hmm.
I don't think fame
Right.
is, you know,
Right.
you can be famous and for looking bad. You can
Yeah.
go out there and make yourself look bad, you
Hmm.
know. So my thing is do it for the right reasons. If you doing it to support your family, cool. If you're doing it to preserve the culture, cool.
Hmm.
If you're doing it to like make people like this is my reason. I do it for culture and all that, but I like making people happy.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
simple. I
Hmm.
think music and natural disasters can bring people together that would never speak to each other. You got people that
Absolutely.
are like you can say are prejudiced,
Hmm.
racist,
Hmm.
and you play music and you can make them two people that would never spoke,
Hmm.
come together.
Hmm.
Natural disaster and music is the only two things I know of that does that. So
Definitely. I definitely
yeah.
know music for sure. I hadn't thought about the natural disasters, but I definitely have been saying during the pandemic, um, that was something that I definitely like. Some people came on and did some things live or whatever, but that kept me going. I like music. I like music and dancing. So that
Yeah,
music
yeah.
brings so many people together. And I even mentioned again to that same person I spoke with, the jazz artist, about festivals and that how people just always look happy at a festival, which of
Mhm.
course the root word is festive, but it's always, yeah, that really brings people together and makes them happy. Any other genres of music?
I listen to everything.
You do?
I,
Okay.
like I said, there's only two kinds of music, good and bad.
Yeah.
So I listen to everything. I mean, it's certain stuff that don't attract me.
Hmm.
But I mean, I take from everything. I listen to jazz. I listen to blues. I love my 90s R&B, hip hop. I love
Woo-hoo.
70s pop. I listen to a lot of like 40s music, swing, big band.
Really?
I listen to
Okay.
everything. Sometimes I just listen to symphony music. So it's
I
like,
was listening to today some of the songs that was on your thing. Oh God. Be my chauffeur. I like to be my chauffeur. I did.
that was
But
that was that was like a Clifton. My
Chanel,
Clifton Chanel did that a couple of times, and that was just my cover of that song.
cover of it. And then Never Enough. I like that too. But there was and I guess it's the soul thing that you're talking about, that soul feel. It was a feel to it I can't describe. I don't know the genre, but it was something that was different about it.
Yeah.
Like it was like upbeat kind of music. And I've heard it before, heard that kind of music before, but I couldn't put my finger on what it was. But
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, like a lot of folk music, I don't care if it's folk music is upbeat, and people don't understand why folk music was upbeat. Folk music was upbeat because it was poor people trying to make themselves happy.
Wow,
They had such a hard life, so their entertainment had to balance that out. You know, so their music was upbeat and happy, and that's why other cultures or other people that don't have cultures want to adopt that because it makes them feel good.
It makes them feel happy.
So,
in California, y'all getting back to normal? Things coming back? Mandates leaving? Y'all wearing masks?
I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't wear masks, but I mean, I just stay home. So.
You stayed home, but I mean, or is the world opening back up? Are y'all able to go out to eat and stuff like that? Okay, cool. You're getting booked. I heard you say that was back then. Are you getting booked more now that COVID's rolling out?
I mean, I was playing during COVID last
Oh,
year.
okay.
So,
okay, so you wanted another one of the lucky ones.
No, I just was like, it did better than me. I was doing live stream videos, and then some people call me for private party, do my private party, come back home.
Oh, okay. But you didn't come to Houston during that time, did you?
I did, but I didn't come to play. I came for that film festival I told you about in New Orleans.
Okay.
Came in November, and I hadn't been down. I just came to visit and actually do some recording. So that was about it.
Do you have family here?
I have a bunch of family all over Texas.
Oh, okay. Okay. Those are when you come.
I used to live here in 2001, 2002. I used to live in Channelview.
Okay. Fun fact. There we go. Yeah. Did you do a lot of creating during the pandemic while we were supposed to be down? Did you do a lot of creating, or did you do a new album or CD?
Yeah, I have. I mean, people call me for music all the time. So I have hard drives full of music. Like I probably have over 300 some songs.
Oh gosh.
So I started finished writing some while I had this time. And so I was hoping to have this single out before I left Houston, before I leave next week. But I might have it by the end of the month. But I have an album coming out soon.
Is there anything that made any aha moments during the pandemic, or no, not really?
I'll tell you what, I actually enjoyed peace and quiet.
The peace and quiet. Yeah.
I was in Maui when all the stuff went down. I was in March. That's when everything hit, and I was enjoying myself. I was actually talking to some people about doing stuff with some of the islanders over there because they never heard my music, and they were loving it. And then the pandemic hit, but I just enjoyed just chilling out.
Yeah, I think a lot of people felt this was a good rest for a lot of people too. That y'all used on the road. When you said Maui, that's where the jazz artist Marion Meadows, he lives in Maui. He says he lives on top of a volcano, old volcano, of course.
I went up to that volcano.
Yeah. Tell me about the encouraging advice that you give to some. You just want them to know the culture and don't be in it just for the fame, because it's not gonna last.
Just be students. Like if you're gonna be like my grandfather used to say this, because I used to complain because I learned on like a little $30 accordion. And his famous thing, he's big dude, he's talking, he said, it's not about the accordion, it's about the man behind the accordion. So it's like, it's not about how expensive and shiny the accordion is, it's if you can play it or not.
Exactly.
And if you can play it, meaning like taking your time and really, instead of rushing to be on stage and be seen, really know what you're doing. Because like I said, I've had family members that said when I first started that I wasn't gonna make it. Now 30 years later, they're like, "Man, you did it."
Really did it.
Yeah, and that's another point thing. Don't stay away from negative people that tell you that you're not gonna do it. If they're not there to push you and be positive, then stay away from the people, no matter who it is, family or not. It don't matter.
Do you ever run into the challenge of people that you try to help, the younger ones that don't want to listen?
Oh yeah.
You run into some of those, okay?
I've had something right in my house. Yeah,
Yeah.
But I used to get frustrated, but I'm at a point now.
It is what it is.
It is what it is, because the thing is like now I ask people, "Hey, you want me to show you this?" And if you don't, hey, it don't matter. I still know it, so it doesn't matter. I ain't lost nothing.
Tell kids at the school I work at, tell them all the time, look here, the teacher already know you got what she has what you need. She don't need you. So
the motor people tell me, the motor people tell me I didn't been where you trying to go. So if you don't want to listen.
If you don't want to listen, you can go on. So I know that you're in Austin this weekend, y'all. Andre, if you're in Austin, Andre Thierry will be there. Where are you going to be in Austin? Do you know?
It's called Sam's Town Point.
Okay, Sam's Town.
And Saturday, I'm back here in Houston at Emmett's Place.
Emmett's Place.
Yeah.
Is that somewhere you play usually when you come here?
I played it before. Me and Steph Reno played it the last time, like 3-4 years ago when I was here. So.
Okay. Did you play with Steph when you came to the Red Rooster? Or you play by yourself?
No, I play by myself.
Okay. So can you tell us how to book you?
You can go to my website, andrethierry.com, ANDRETHIERRY.
Yeah, I had to go on there and see if I was spelling your name right. I am saying it right, Theory? Theory, okay. And where we can purchase your music at the same place? Of course, Spotify. Yes.
I don't really fool with all those. Yeah, I'm an old school person. I like to sell stuff out the trunk, myself. So I can see all my money. So
yeah, okay, exactly.
You go to the website. I got a few albums I already put on iTunes, but moving forward, I'm gonna just be selling stuff strictly off my site.
I get it. Okay. Well, if you need the girl to sit at the table and sell your stuff, not the girl, the person to sit at the table sell your CDs, just let me know when you come to Houston. I'll take the job.
Right,
I'm serious.
Okay.
And do you have any last words?
Just thank you for having me. I didn't know what to expect with this, but this was cool.
Oh, thank you. I try to tell people, I try my best not to make it an interview. I just want to talk and get to know stuff.
No, I like the fact that we talked about the culture and like people tend to just take just the music part of it and think that's just the culture, but it's the language, the food, the people. So it's like if I take one of your organs out of your body, you're not whole anymore.
Right.
So you gotta have all those elements for it to really be Zydeco. Like I see some bands, they'll play without a washboard. If you don't have a washboard and you have an accordion, that's not Zydeco. If you have a washboard and don't have an accordion, it's not Zydeco. You got those two things make Zydeco.
I've asked that before. I've asked because I know they used to play the fiddle. Yes.
Yeah, but that was Creole and La La music. That's the different. That's how you differentiate from the style.
Because of the instrument. I have something in my mouth that I have to keep in my mouth. That's why I can't talk. The instruments that being played can tell you the difference. And La La, I had a girlfriend. I have a girlfriend named Shelly. Shelly had an event and she called it a La La. And she was like, "Oh, that's what they used to call Zydeco." And I'm like, no, they didn't. Like I had never heard that. Like I know, but she's Creole or and so she knew. But I was saying no. And then that's been 10 years ago that this happened. And just on one of my shows, someone was talking. It might have been Joe. And he was on, and we were talking about La La. I said, "Oh, so La La really is a thing." So
it was a thing. It was when they did the dances inside the houses because they didn't have any clubs. So they had to huddle in somebody's house and do house dances. And that was called the La La.
The La La. That is so cute. I don't know if I ever told Shelly I was sorry. I got to tell her. Okay, Andre, thank you again so much. This was definitely an honor. Mr. Joe Norman thinks so highly. And Joe Norman, thank you for introducing me by phone. He was on the phone with you today. We had our interview, and that's how I got introduced to Andre, y'all. But this was an honor. Thank you for chatting with Trina. And guys, thank you for making the choice to click in to chat with Trina. And make sure you go to youtube.com/chat with Trina. Subscribe. I need 5. That's all I need. 500 subscribers. And yeah, that's all I need. Thank you, Andre. Have a good trip. Be safe. Bye.
Thank you again, Andre, for agreeing to chat with Trina today. I really enjoyed it. This was so much fun, but also it was what this show is really about, the history and the culture. And I really appreciate you sharing all of your knowledge with me today. Thanks, and I hope to talk to you again soon. Guys, remember to go to youtube.com/chat with Trina. Subscribe. I need you. I need your support. And also hit that little bell so you can be notified when I upload a new video.